set, go ahead.
Good evening, welcome to the Selectmen's Meeting for December 17th, 2019. Call the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Don Klein, present.
And Miller, present. Can you join me in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Notes that the meeting is being recorded. Chairman's additions, deletions. We do have one deletion for the executive session.
Correct.
So, public comment period, as there's nobody here. I'd say we can skip that. Just want to safely in the roads. Appointments and personnel votes. 2.1, appoint Robert A. Beauchamp as the Facilities Department Coordinator effective December 18th, 2019 for the 7-month probationary period.
I've got to make the first right, and then we can discuss.
Yes. Okay.
I make a motion we appoint Robert A. Beauchamp as the Facilities Department Coordinator effective December 18th, 2019 with a 7-month probationary period.
And I'll second, and I assume you have something to say.
Yeah, so I took the liberty of going back through a number of sessions that we've had over the last few months. And one of the things that had come out was that the particular function, coordinator, really doesn't fit that position, and that we're looking to do probably a supervisory position for that. So my concern is that we appointing, I know we're talking about doing a description change, but the description change pertains to the job function as a coordinator, not as a supervisor.
If I may, I can tell you that in discussions with Mr. Beauchamp, and if it's your vote this evening to appoint, his offer letter or terms letter will state as much. Will state that there's no guarantee that the position he's currently functioning under will be the position that is ultimately going to exist after the common class plan is finished. That it currently reads more of a hands-off coordinator position, but we're looking more at a supervisory or working type of position. So he would be accepting it with that proviso.
So we have to reappoint? Change the job?
I guess it'll depend on how much change there is. If the title is the same, there's some debate about what the title even is. It appears as facilities manager and facilities coordinator in varying different documents. So,
Yeah, and I understand too that there's a bylaw, and in the bylaw it calls out for the facility coordinator.
correct.
So that would need to be revisited as well.
It would.
Was that part of the charter change at all?
No,
it's the bylaws.
It's a
bylaw.
bylaw, it's not a charter. It would be my suggestion, and I want to hear from Wayne, is that we appoint him as interim coordinator pending the outcome of the common class plans.
That's reasonable.
I think the covers, yeah.
Yes.
That way, well, is this a union position too?
Yes.
So that keeps us out of the weeds with that too?
Yeah, doesn't it, it's in, whether it's a supervisor or whether it's coordinator, they're both in.
They're both going to be in the supervisory union, because they'll have staff that they supervise. Correct.
The other thing is that I've heard nothing but good things about Mr. Beauchamp. I don't know that much about him. I've met him once. I've never seen his resume. I was not part of the process when he was hired for various reasons. I would, though, like to have the opportunity to look at it.
Absolutely, yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, so if you want to amend your motion.
I would amend my motion to read that we appoint Mr. Beauchamp as interim facility department coordinator pending the outcome of the comp and class plans that we're currently working on.
Effective?
Effective December 18th, 2019.
And I'll second the amended motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One other thing, is that still free you up to post for his current position, or are you gonna hold off on that for a while?
That's an interesting question. The hope was to be able to post for it, to be able to get hands on deck. But obviously, we don't want to create a situation where Mr. Beauchamp is in a position and for whatever reason, there's a requirement that it be reposted and he not be selected, or he choose to not take what it ultimately turns out to be. He would then need that prior position to be able to slide back into. You know, when you're making an interim appointment, the understanding is that their position is still available to them to go back to after the interim appointment.
Just to refresh my memory, when do we expect the Collins Center to come back with?
It was supposed to be, what I've been reporting each time we've talked about it was a 6-month process, and that's been about 2.5 months now.
Okay.
So it could be as far out as that. I expect we should have something on the comp and class side sooner than that, because they know it's a priority.
Okay.
I'm hoping to even have draft stuff for you guys to begin reviewing in January. So.
We're gonna discuss them a little, and I'll bring the rest of it up at that point then.
Okay. Great. Thank you. 2.2, appoint Christopher Tucker to the position of probationary police officer. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we appoint Christopher Tucker to the position of probationary police officer for the Townsend Police Department effective January 6, 2020, contingent upon a background check and medical exam with a 1-year probationary period.
And I'll second that. And I see we have a letter from Deputy Chief stating that he's academy trained and begin field training immediately. So that's good. Excellent. Is that the last position?
I believe it is, yes.
So we're fully staffed finally.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, good. Welcome aboard.
You gotta vote.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for reminding me. 3.1, discussion of special town meeting warrant articles.
This is a little premature on the agenda, but I wanted to just have it here, just to keep it on the radar screen that we do have an open warrant. So while we're being run publicly right now, people that are watching at home, and then when it gets run rebroadcast, it's just notice to people that we do have a special town meeting called for January 21st. Yep. The warrant was opened 2 weeks ago and will close on December 30th at 12 noon. So if anybody has any business that they have an interest in bringing before the town meeting, as a town agency, it's a right as prescribed by charter. If you're a citizen and a town agency sponsors your article, you can get something on that way, and if not, then it's a simple process of signatures, and for a special town meeting it would be 200 signatures. So if there are people that have interest to put something before the town meeting, we do have the warrant scheduled to close on December 30th.
And when are town offices closed for the holidays here? Because it's in the 31st.
You would ask me that right now, right? We will be here on the 30th. I know that. And obviously closed. Well, the 31st is a...
That's New Year's.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think what day of the week.
Tuesday. New Year's Eve is Tuesday the 31st.
So the warrant will already be closed by then, but we will be here Monday the 30th.
So you have the 23rd, the 26th, 27th, and the 30th.
Correct.
So, because we're closed 24, 25, right?
Yep.
Okay. I just want to make sure people understand that that's...
All right.
Okay. How many do we have already?
The draft that I've got up on my desktop right now, I think I have 11 articles.
Okay. That's not too bad. So it'll be pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't think we're done yet, though.
No,
There are
I've
more
talked to a
that
couple
I'm
people that-
expecting, yeah.
So, get them in. All right. 3.2, vote to authorize the 2% increase for all, appropriated for all non-union employees for fiscal year 20.
On this one, Mr. Chairman, the town meeting authorized a 2% across the board, and for unionized personnel, we don't have the ability to release it because the contracts have not yet been negotiated and finalized. For the non-union folks, of which there are very few, you have a handful of employees in the library, and I think 4 others scattered throughout the town.
Don't you have the call people in the fire department? They're not.
And the call people in the fire department, you're correct. They've not had the benefit of what's been appropriated for them. It's been being held off. I think the hope had been that the contracts would be negotiated more quickly than they're likely going to be. So everything was held off for that purpose, but we're coming at halfway through the year. So the ask is to authorize that those employees that are not otherwise represented by a union receive their 2%.
Okay.
Question on the contracts. Aren't we currently under contract for this fiscal year?
We are not, no. The one that was just done for clerical brought us to the end of 19. So we're currently in negotiations in the year for which we're negotiating with each
Okay.
of the groups.
All
The exception of fire department, which we're not at the table on until within the next couple of months, but for next fiscal year.
Okay.
All the AFSCME groups are up.
And do we have progress on that, or is it still kind of slow?
I've been waiting to hear.
Yeah, well, we've had, at the last meeting, we had the discussion about with Ms. Lucio's resignation, who would take the 2
Yep.
admin clerical groups, and the chair's going to take those. Weren't able to get anything scheduled for the next 2 weeks, given the holidays, so we have a target on the first week in January, but nothing's nailed down yet. There's, I think, an email out pending right now to Bobby, the representative of the
Okay.
unions. So we've only had a couple of meetings. I think we have an understanding of where each other are, and the types of things that are within reason for the parties to consider.
Okay.
But in an open session, I wouldn't go beyond that discussion.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion then?
I make a motion that we authorize the 2% increase appropriated for all non-union employees for FY20.
Second.
Actually, under discussion, I don't know how to do this, because I did not have the call guys on my radar screen, but you perhaps shouldn't.
I filed my 23B, and I have looked up, because there's only 2 of us, and if the chair so agrees, then I can do under the rules of necessity.
Okay, I just want to make certain everybody's copacetic.
Well,
so.
I do declare, because we have to get this done, and there's only 2 of us, so.
Right.
Awesome.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
3.3, review, sign a proclamation declaring January 2020 as Senior Appreciation Month. Do you have that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And I will read it. Whereas the Townsend is the home for over 2,050 senior citizens who are respected and recognized for the wisdom of their experience and for their valuable lessons that they have taught to the following generations, and whereas our seniors offer their experience and energy to help others in times of needs and to create and sustain vital communities through ongoing activities, participations in civic life, and whereas our seniors inspire the children and grandchildren to strive to improve the lives of others and of the society as a whole, and to explore ways through which they can continue to build a better world, and whereas our seniors may need some assistance from the younger generation, and we are called upon to recognize that it is our responsibility and privilege to care for those who once cared for us, and whereas the month of January in the year 2020 will be recognized as Senior Appreciation Month, which serves to remind us that the seniors have the right to the life of self-sufficiency, independence, and involvement in society, and we acknowledge the meaningful role that so many active seniors have today, an energized population that represents a vital network of support in building strong communities, and each of us encouraged to further our own role as productive individuals, following the fine example set by our senior community from which we derive immeasurable benefits. And now, therefore, we, Wayne Miller and Don Klein, Selectmen of the Town of Townsend, Middlesex County, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim January 20th as Senior Appreciation Month.
Excellent. Can I get a motion to sign?
I make a motion that we sign the proclamation.
I second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. If Sue was still here, I'd say something. Is that 3-4, accept a grant for disposal of unwanted medicines from the MED project for the Townsend Police Department. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we accept a grant for the disposal of unwanted medications from the MED project for the Townsend Police Department.
I second. Is this the kiosk that they have at the police department for prescription drugs?
It is.
It is. And that's open. I know we advertised it last year, like on a weekend, but it's there all the time, correct?
It is,
So
correct.
anybody can drop off at any point.
Absolutely.
And as a person that works in the pharmaceutical field, I encourage everybody to do this and not throw them down the toilet, please. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Work session, town administrator updates and report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 4.11 recycling center update. There was, with the temporary absence of the health department administrator, there's been an attempt by the chair of the Board of Health, elected position, to fill in and do the things that she can do, and she's been doing a lot of work, and it's greatly appreciated. She's been authorized by her board to do that. What we're realizing is that there are some things that were being done, like the plowing of the front of the recycling center, that weren't on anybody's radar screen, perhaps other than the person who's been in the position for a number of years and just as a regular course of business arranges for that to be done. So the chair of the Board of Health got to me the other day, last week, said that, you know, we didn't have it cleaned out after the last storm, and people were going down and disappointed that they weren't able to get in because it was closed because it had not been cleaned out. She and I both did a little bit of poking around to figure out how it had been handled in the past, and it looks like at some point in time the town highway department was doing it, and then there was a bit of a separation of the two departments when the Board of Health took the position that the highway department could no longer dispose of pieces of furniture or tires that were picked up off the sides of the road because it was costing the Board of Health for them to do so. So the discussion was, well, we're supposed to be the town and be working together, and I think the end result was that, and this is a prior Board of Health, dug in on it and said, no, we'll charge you or find another place to get rid of them. And the response was, well, if we're gonna have to pay to get rid of this stuff, then, you know, we're not gonna be able to provide the snow plowing. So I think both parties kind of sat entrenched in their respective foxholes and stared at each other, and there was apparently a private contractor was being used last winter for it, and nobody was aware of that but the individual who's not with us, at least temporarily. So I think a very productive conversation between the current chair and the highway superintendent has resulted in a detente where the highway department's going to be able to bring things that they find on the side of the road, you know, that someone has thrown out to the recycling center. The Board of Health is going to process it through the regular course of their operation, and the highway department is going to be doing the plowing and cleaning up. Beyond the snow, the highway used to also push back the loam pile and the brush piles and things, so they'll be picking up those issues when the spring breaks as well. So there shouldn't be any issues with storms going further.
So question around the financial. Is the recycle center then gonna pick up the additional cost? If there's additional, it sounds like there's additional cost for them to dispose of that kind of material being brought in. Are they picking up that additional cost? If not, then is there a way to make sure that we have the funds available? I'm concerned about taking on something that they don't have the funds to expend on, or not have enough funds to expend on what's being brought to them by the highway department for people that can't seem to make it to the recycle center to drop it, but drop it on the road.
I can get an answer to that for you, but I would defer to the chair of the Board of Health, because she and the superintendent worked on that directly together, and she was satisfied that it's the appropriate thing to do. But I can find out if, in her calculus, if she was thinking about whether it's already covered by the contract and there is no additional fee, or if the fee is something that is less of a fee than they were paying perhaps somebody to privately plow. I can get that detail for you.
I'm not so concerned about the plowing, it's more about the additional cost, because they have to dispose of the
I'm
items.
saying there may be an offset. She may have said, well, it's costing us X to plow, and it will be X minus if we just take that random couch. So it's better for the budget to do it that way, and it's also a nicer way to do it.
Yeah.
But I'll get the actuals for you.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we have,
And they are all open this weekend.
yes,
So the scheduling of the.
back to normal schedule.
So
Yep,
we're
we
all
had
set.
a back-to-back week just to allow people to get in and get things dropped that they hadn't had the opportunity to the week prior, but it's regular schedule this point forward.
Okay, good.
An update on IT being outsourced. I've given you each a copy of a draft scope of services that has been being bandied about between Winslow, the group that came in and did our infrastructure refresh, and us here in the town hall. I have a call with them tomorrow. When you approve your minutes later tonight, you'll remember having seen a part in here where it talks about at your November meeting on this very issue that I was reminding the board back then that we still need to wait until after the special town meeting so the funds can be transferred from personnel to expense in order to contract with the vendor. So we do still have that issue. So even if we're able to come, at your meeting on the 7th of January with the contract, Lori, the town accountant, would not be able to certify it as the funds available because we would not yet have had the special town meeting to make the transfer. So we're hostage to that right now. On this issue, Don and I had a conversation a little bit earlier tonight before the meeting. Our prior IT director had time available on the books that he was going to be entitled to. This is something that was part of the discussion we had relative to his resignation. And he still has a small balance of time available to him, and I've not yet been able to let go of leaning on him for some of the more mundane things, council on aging. Just today, for instance, had an issue with one of their workstations. I advised you at the last meeting that we finally had a date for the cutover for the telephones. So the gentleman was in for that cutoff, given that he was the point of contact during the deployment of that project. So he is still available on an as-needed or acute basis. We've had discussions about another employee within the organization who has sufficient skill to be able to step in and be the kind of troubleshooter on a day-to-day basis. She is going to be on leave for 6 weeks and unavailable to us. So we kind of have a confluence of things occurring here where we're not able to contract outside and we don't have someone inside, but we do still have the ability to have the former person inside at least available on an on-call basis for pretty mundane things. So my intention would be to continue to call him on mundane things unless I hear something from the contrary.
I'd feel more comfortable with using Winslow. And I know we don't have a contract, but it would be services rendered. I would assume that we could, because we obviously have an opening. So it's almost an emergency to, would it be considered an emergency, I guess is my question to you.
It definitely is an emergency, so from the emergency, you would then look to see what the law allows in terms of where your funding is. I guess the select board has a line item in its budget for professional services, maybe as a stopgap.
Because we're talking about a month, right?
Using Winslow and paying on a time and service basis out of that line. So if it's your wish to do that, that'd be one way.
I would feel better about that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I would.
I'd like to get them in here to look at start.
Yeah.
I know they've been here and seen a lot of it,
Oh, yeah.
but if we can get a jump on over the next month before we get the contract at the, assuming town meeting passes us
Gotcha.
entering into a contract,
Okay.
but I don't see that as being an issue.
Do you know offhand how much we have in that line item?
Yours?
Yeah.
10 grand, I think.
So that should cover us.
It's an annual.
Yeah.
That should
It's an annual appropriation for things like this
Okay.
that come up.
Usually when you do something like that too, you can contract them to come in for so many hours per week or so many
Mhm.
days under emergency.
Yep.
At least that's the
Yeah.
way I've seen it done in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my concern was more about the funding, and with the understanding that you have the ability through your budget to do so and with your approval to do so,
Do
we're
you need a
good.
motion? Do you need a motion?
No, you're on TV.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
I got you. And on the scope of service draft that you have there, if you have any comments on it or thoughts on it in the next, couple of days or so.
The only thought I had afterwards, because the last meeting we had, we were discussing Google versus
Right.
Office 365. I've kind of rethought that a little bit, just going back. I did, as Don did, went back to some of our previous discussion, and it slipped my mind that Sue had talked with the state about
Yeah.
adopting Office 365 as
It's
a
best practice.
Best
Yep.
practice. So I'm leaning back that way now. But as I said in the last meeting, I don't have a one versus the other. They're both good.
Okay.
I don't know about you, what you feel, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, the way I look at it is that if the state has deemed this to be best practices and a lot of the other communities are going in that direction, we have a lot of documents that are passed back and forth between the state and other communities that I would feel more comfortable going in the same direction that the state is recommending, only because there could be some differences between the two, and we could lose things in the translations between one set of documents and another. I've seen it happen in the past where documents were created and another sent to the state and the state couldn't read them, or vice versa. The state was sending something to us and we couldn't read it. I would feel more comfortable to being on the same page. That and two, employees that we're training here, if they ever do leave and go somewhere else, they're already trained in that, so they can fit in relatively easy. Same with bringing somebody into here, that they're familiar with 365. So I would prefer to go in that direction.
Okay. And with the regionalization discussion we were having, I know IT was one of the topics. So.
Can I bring that up here, or should I wait till later on? I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about outsourced IT, so
Yeah.
regionalization is part of outsourcing.
Yeah.
So
So, I know that we had, Sue wanted to continue on looking at, where we could outsource different things and what that is. I believe that she was gonna meet with you and kind of go through all that. What I'd like to see is that as soon as you have completed that, that she comes before the board to let us know exactly what she's looking at doing and what's the area she's looking at, so that we're not going off in a different direction.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, she'd originally asked, and you voted to support that, and then she had thought more of it, that she wasn't going to, and then I think Wayne twisted her arm a little bit or something.
I
but
didn't do anything.
She's back on board, which I think is a good thing. So absolutely.
I did call her flip-flop, however.
We're gonna meet after the holidays to sketch that out. So we'll make certain that once we've got that document laid out, or that kind of framework laid out, that we'll get back in front of you.
Okay, good.
Awesome.
But just the quick
Yeah.
look through this, this is very comprehensive, I think, and exactly what we need moving forward, so.
Yeah, there wasn't anything that I tried to imagine the things that somebody that is terribly ill-equipped like me would look for help on, and these are the kind of things that I'd run into, so I'm not aware of anything else that might be missing.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to go through the whole thing, but I'll cruise through it. And
Yeah,
get back
just
to you.
send me a quick note or something if you want something tweaked.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, 4.2, Board of Selectmen was that what?
Yep,
Sorry. hold
yep,
on.
I'm good.
Excuse me. Board of Selectmen announcements, updates, and reports. I don't think I have any.
Yes, one thing. The capital planning committee met. I sent you off
Yep.
a note on their response. Also, we would like you, I think I put it in the note, but I'm not sure. We would like you to come to our first meeting.
Absolutely.
Especially the things that we're looking at is how much money we're looking to,
Yep.
we will have
Yep.
available to us. Right now, I think we have, let me just quick. Yeah, it would be first up on January the 8th
Okay.
at 6 o'clock. And our plan is to meet for 3 consecutive weeks on Wednesdays and
Excellent.
get through everybody.
Good.
I reached out to the water department today because we have not seen their capital. So I reached out to make sure that they get that in.
Okay.
See, this is how much technology frightens me. I just went to type that in, and it's already in this device somehow. But I didn't put it in there, so I don't know what's going on.
I did have one other update. This Friday night at 7, I believe, Russell Jobe, who's the gentleman from the VFW that is coordinating the Wall That Heals
Yep.
tour coming through Townsend this summer. There's an informal meeting to kind of kick off and start the, hey, we need help doing this stuff, guys. And I believe he's inviting some surrounding communities too. I don't know exactly, I haven't spoken to him, but
Yeah, I haven't seen the distribution list that he put out, but I know it's
supposed to be here
pretty broad.
in here at 7 o'clock on Friday night if everybody wants to attend. I plan on being here. I don't know if you are or not. 'Cause
No, I can't. I have
so that change,
babysitting duties.
that eliminates the open meeting law piece of it. So that's all I had.
Excellent.
4.3, board correspondence. I do not have any. Don?
No, I have no correspondence.
Okay. 4.4, review and approve meeting minutes from October 15th and November 5th, 2019. Can I get a
We can
motion?
do both of these at once, right?
Absolutely.
I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes for October 15th, 2019, and November 5th, 2019.
Second. We're all at these, right?
Yes.
Any discussion, questions, or
I went through it, and I didn't see anything that stood out at me.
me as well? All those in favor?
Aye.
4.5, review and sign payroll bills and warrants.
I make a motion that we sign and review and sign payroll and bill payable warrants out of session.
And I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Executive session's been canceled, so I get a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion that we adjourn at 6:36.
And I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are
Thank you.
adjourned hardly.